Shalom, more praise to you. How about Shemal Shah, Double Line of City Apostles of GMS? This is Anna Allah coming at you with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be focusing on the book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 10. When Yahweh Shah had sent out his disciples. And what he was doing was he was giving them the rundown of the things that they should teach and the things that they should do and that they shouldn't do. And I'll focus on the 10th verse, but I'm going to start from verse 5. So let's get right to it. Matthew chapter 10, verse 5. These 12 Yahweh Shah sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather. So don't go to the Gentiles, the other nations, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, because you had heathens that were living. Those Samaritans was talking about them heathens. Okay? Those Hamites. But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, preach, saying, The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out the devils. Freely ye have received, freely give. Provide neither gold, nor silver, nor brass in your purses, meaning in your bags, nor scrip for your journey. Neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves, for the workman is worthy of his meat. So let's get to that. Let's go into that scripture. Okay? No scrip for your journey. Look at that word scrip.
Strong's G 4082, Pera.
Pera. A wallet, a leathern sack, in which travelers and shepherds carry their provisions. So it's a traveler's bag, it's a leather bag. Let's see if I can get a description of this. Now this here is from a book called what is it called? The Holy Land and the Bible. A book of scriptural illustrations in Palestine. The Holy Land and the Bible, a book of scripture illustrations in Palestine. Now, when you look right here, traveling with a scrip and girdle. He has a girdle around his waist, like where his hand is. And yes, that scrip he has, the bag. Now, in today's day and age, that's something that they would wear, traveling. Back in the ancient world. When they were going on a journey, they would travel like that. That way both your hands can be free. So go over your shoulder, like by your neck. In today's age, men are walking around wearing that looking feminine. But it's really just a leather bag. So it really is. It's just a bag. That's what it really is. And there's a bag you will have, you might have food in there. You might have, a flask with water in there. And, other types of things you may need when you're going on a journey. But the Lord said, don't bring none of those. Don't bring a scrip for your journey. Don't bring two coats. So don't bring a coat to travel in. Don't have a coat to wear when you got to your destination. Don't bring a pair of shoes. Nor yet staves, like a walking stick, as you also saw in that image if you rewind it a few seconds. In fact, I'll go back to it. A stave is like a staff, a stick. Something that you would have to lean on while you're traveling. You ever seen a person with like think of it like a cane or a walking stick? The Lord said, don't bring it that. Why? For the workman is worthy of his meat. So we're workmen in Yahweh Shah. We're worthy of our meat. In other words, it's not talking about actual meat. The workman is worthy of his meat. In other words, the workman is worthy of the benefits that he will receive from his work. Like the term in the Bible, if you don't work, you don't eat. It don't literally mean necessarily eat food. Now, of course, you got to work in order for you to feed yourself. So when it says you don't work, you don't eat, or for the workman is worthy of his meat, it's saying that a person that's in the faith that's doing the work of the Lord, they are to receive benefits that come with doing the work. You are to receive substance. In other words, don't bring a scrip for your journey. Don't bring a bag with any kind of goods in there. Don't bring 2 coats, another pair of shoes, or a staff, because you're worthy of the workman is worthy of his meat. In other words, you doing the work of the Lord. Therefore, you should receive benefits. You should receive help from those who believe in this word. Let's get that word meat right there.
Strong's G 5160. Trafe.
Trafe. Food, nourishment. It denotes nourishment, food, metaphorically, food, meat, i.e. deeper subject of the faith and that of elementary instruction. So yeah, so it's talking about nourishment. So the workman is worthy of his nourishment. That's what the next verse says. What? And into whatsoever city or town ye shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till ye go hence, till ye go thence. So when you enter into a town, you're supposed to inquire, you're supposed to observe, use wisdom. Who in that town is worthy, and you can abide there until you leave. So when you went to another city, if you had to abide in someone's house, make sure that person is worthy. The person is an honest person, a believer, and they should take care of you. That's why you wasn't supposed to bring a bag, coats, shoes, staff, or anything, because you being a workman, you should be worthy of your meat. In other words, you should receive nourishment or the benefits of doing the work of the Lord. So when you go to these other towns, people will house you. Believers will house you and would help you. All right? So you didn't have to have any of those things. But that shows you what? You walking by faith, not by sight. Why are you walking by faith? Because you know that as long as you're doing the work of the Lord, you're going to be provided for. All right? This is the book of 1 Peter 5:2. Feed the flock of the Most High. That's what the disciples were doing. Feed the flock of the Most High, which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly. Let's get a word. Constraint.
Strong's G 317. Anakastos.
Anagastos. By force or restraint. By force or constraint. By force unwillingly, by constraint. So you were to oversee that flock, not by constraint, not by force. In other words, not unwillingly, not because you don't want to do it, not like it's a burden or a difficult task, but willingly. So you're supposed to have oversight over the flock willingly. It's not supposed to be a burden unto you, so you're supposed to want to do it. Not by constraint, but willingly. Not for filthy lucre. Look at that word.
Strong's G 147. Ice Hakerdos.
Ice hachdos. Eagerness for base gain. There you go. So not for filthy lucre's sake, or for eagerness or base gain. Let's give you another example of that. Definition of that. Here it goes right here. The phrase filthy lucre is from AI Overview. The phrase filthy lucre refers to money that is considered shameful, distasteful, or gained dishonestly. So not for filthy lucre's sake. So you're not doing this for the sake of money. See? So it's not for filthy lucre's sake. That shows you this is all about the spirit. Don't worry about none of these materialistic things. Don't worry about another pair of shoes, a coat, a stave, or bringing a bag with any goods in it. Don't worry about that. It's not about the money. You're gonna be taken care of. Which shows you that we're supposed to do everything in faith. You got people out there that teach for filthy lucre's sake, but us being in the stead of the disciples in this modern day time, we're not worrying about the riches. At least not the material riches. We're worrying about the riches of the kingdom of heaven. We're worrying about the faith, the riches we're going to receive in the kingdom, which all starts with us walking in the faith now. So the Lord wanted to completely separate us from the mentality of doing anything. From the He wanted to completely separate us for looking at anything material to sustain us on our journey in His truth. Don't bring a script for your journey. Don't bring two coats, a pair of shoes, another staves or a walking stick. Don't bring none of that. The Lord wanted to separate us from having hope or in anything material, and it all be through His faith. Hence is why we don't do this for filthy lucre's sake. We oversee the flock willingly, not for monetary gain like other camps, like the IUIC and the ISUPK, these other camps out there, the GOCC. They do this. These guys do this for money. There's some guys in those groups that's sincere, but many of them aren't. The love of money is the root of all evil. 1 Corinthians 9:14. Even so hath the Lord ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. That takes us back to what we read in Matthew. Going back to Matthew 10:10. No script for your journey, neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet stays, for the workman is worthy of his meat. Because those that teach the gospel shall live of the gospel. So if you're teaching the gospel, the people that's the believers, they ought to support you. They ought to support you. You're supposed to be able to live off their support. That's why the Apostle Paul said, if we give you spiritual things, should not we reap your carnal things? So if you're being taught the word, you're supposed to, in return, give them carnal things. You're supposed to, give them money, food, shelter them. You know what I mean? First Timothy 5:18. For the scripture saith, thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the corn, and the laborer is worthy of his reward. Matthew 10:10. 1 Corinthians was at 9:14 that we just read. That goes back to those scriptures. For the scripture saith, thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the corn. So if you have an ox that's treading the corn, right? Now it's not talking about actual corn like corn on the cob. It's talking about grain.
Strong's G 248. Ala'ao.
Ala'ao. To thresh. To thresh. So you will have an ox that will be pulling a threshing board, or an ass, and they'll be pulling a threshing board. And the ox would, and what that threshing board would do, as well as the ox or the ass's hooves, what they would do is they would step on the grain, separating the wheat from the chaff. But you wouldn't put a muzzle on that ox. You wouldn't put a muzzle on that horse or on that ass. Why? Because they should be able to eat as well. They're laboring, separating the wheat from the chaff with their hooves and with their threshing board, but at the same time, they're separating the wheat. Though they're doing that and separating the wheat from the chaff, they should also be able, though they're laboring, they should also be able to survive off of that. It's like, for example, you can't have somebody working in a restaurant and not give them a discount on the food. You can't have an ass or an ox treading the corn and then put a muzzle on them so that they can't eat while treading it. They should be able to. They should be able to live off of their labor, just like us who teach this truth, beginning with the apostles. Should live off their labor. So going all the way back then, that applied, and it still applies now. So you're really supposed to be able to live off of the work of the Lord. Those that teach the gospel should live with the gospel. So Yahushua was telling the disciples that, going all the way back to Matthew the 10th chapter. This is 2,000 years ago. So guess what? It was said back then and it still applies now. All right? So with that, I want to close. I'm going to close right there. I hope brothers learned something. So I'm going to say, Lord will, till next time. Hope you learned something. Shalom.